Whether you're just starting jiu-jitsu or you've been doing it for a few months, we're going to speed run through 3 tips that are going to change the level at which you progress. These are easy and simple to deploy tactics that you can start using on day 1 that many schools won't ever touch on. But you know, here on this channel, we cover that kind of stuff. So if you're newer and you're struggling, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Number 1 is too much forward pressure. Now, this is something that we see from white belts all over the place, especially those that have a wrestling background. You're driving and driving and driving forward without any real plan because you just haven't received the lessons yet. As an upper ranking belt, I'm a 4-stripe brown after 10 years of training. I love when people pressure into me because you're running into my traps. A lot of the stuff in jiu-jitsu that I want to set up works really good when you're pressuring into me and is a little bit harder to do when you're pulling back. Now, obviously, pulling back isn't something that you can just do continuously because that's called stalling, but you can be strategic. So before we jump into that though, let's talk about what this looks like. So as we check the example here, we have my partner who's in my guard pressuring into me. And without any real attack plan or passing plan, you're just running into my trap. So with constant pressure, as you can see, it's very easy for me to set up an armbar. And he ran right into that. Now, if we switch it up, I mean, if you run into an armbar from this position, as you see here, you can also run into triangles. It's very easy just to punch one arm to the chest, throw my hips up, and wrap and lock that triangle. And lastly, too much pressure results in one of the funniest sweeps in jiu-jitsu where I can just hit an airplane sweep, send you up into the air, I tuck my own head and roll over my shoulder, and this results in me ending up in mount where I can then look for submissions, arm bars, whatever it may be. If you're a white belt and you don't know what to do in a certain position, do not drive into your opponent. And this could go really for any position or any belt rank. If someone else puts you in a move, let's say a leg lock that you're not familiar with yet, do not try to explode out of it. There's a chance that you could be making that submission twice as bad. You could blow your own knee completely by turning the wrong way with force. This is exactly why I ended up needing a cervical spinal fusion, because I was stuck in a front headlock and I exploded out of it thinking I was unraveling it, and I made it crazy tight and blew the disc between C5 and C6, which resulted in me having to sit out for it was like 4 months from the gym and 6 to 8 months from jiu-jitsu. So if you don't know what you're in, don't drive forward. Don't try to explode out. There's nothing wrong with sitting back or just being patient and seeing what's going on, right? You're in the learning process if you're a white belt or you're new. So there's no need to put yourself in excessive danger just to maybe get out of a situation, which if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably just gonna make it worse. Most people don't realize this, but your gear can either help you or hold you back. Now, I've been training in jiu-jitsu gear for a long time, and most of it looks good online, but falls apart when it actually matters. That's exactly why I wear X Martial. This isn't just clean designs, it's performance-built gear. You get a compression fit that actually moves with you, durability that holds up during the hardest of rounds, and designs that don't look like every other basic rash guard on the mat. Whether you're drilling, competing, or going to war with one of your favorite training partners, X Martial is built for it. It's lightweight, it's breathable, and it's made for people who actually train. If you're serious about your jiu-jitsu, your attire should match that. So go check out X Martial, grab yourself a set or 2 or 3, and if you're smart, you use my code IRONWILL to save yourself some money. Train harder, roll longer, and look sharp doing it. Let's get back to the video. Tip number 2 is knowing when to pull back. Now, we kind of touched on this in tip number 1, but for those of you that have been training for a while, if you've ever tried to do jiu-jitsu on someone who's constantly trying to pull away, it's a little more difficult. Jiu-jitsu really flourishes when your opponent, your attacker, the person you're grappling with is applying force to you. If they're constantly pulling away, like we said in a tournament, this is called stalling. But if you're strategic with it, you can make it really difficult for your attacker to get anything on you. So if you're a newer white belt and you're rolling with an upper rank, you may not feel a lot of direct pressure from them. They may sit back and let you come to them because it's likely that that you're going to drive forward. One thing you can do to help yourself improve is take note of how upper ranks behave in certain situations, okay? This is an interesting concept. The higher that we go up the rank system, usually the more calm those practitioners get. I'll never forget my first white belt tournament. I thought that I was fighting for my life. It felt like my lungs were going to explode, my muscles were going to melt off the bones, and my heart was going to explode because I was fighting for my life, and so was everyone else. And then you compete at purple belt and brown belt, and you notice that intensity, it'll be there sometimes, but not always, right? There's moments of intensity, but we're not redlining our engines the entire time. So one thing you can do as a white belt, pay attention to this and start to incorporate it in to your training. Instead of just driving forward all the time, you can kind of sit back and see what's available to you. Notice the behavior of your training partner. Notice what they're trying to grab for. Are they trying to grab your hands, your wrists, your lapel, your legs? Take note of what they're trying to do. You can learn a lot about the situation you're in just by paying attention to what someone else is doing, especially if they know what they're doing. And that includes when you have no idea what they're doing. You can still learn from this stuff. You can say, oh my God, I noticed that when I'm in this brown belt's guard, he's underhooking my left leg and he's turning an angle and he's finding ways to hit submissions from there. Or you notice that when you're going against the black belt, he likes to break your posture down. He likes to wait for you to drive into him before he switches his hips and finds a submission. So there's a lot of value in sitting back and observing, right? As you can see, I'm in my opponent's guard. What I want to do is I want to become a tank. I want to behave like I'm an oak tree with 30-foot roots in the ground, right? I need to have a wide base. A lot of times newbies will sit on top of their feet in guard. What you can do is open your feet a little bit, sit your butt down so that your center of gravity is lower, your butt is closer to the mat, and your base is a little bit wider. This is going to require your opponent to provide more effort in being able to off balance you or break your posture. And then from here, obviously you can work on guard breaks. As a white belt, you should not be attacking anyone inside your opponent's guard. You should be looking to pass that guard. You need to break that guard open and pass. And a lot of times sitting back and putting pressure on their knees rather than trying to attack this person's neck is the way to go. Like I said, if you train jiu-jitsu long enough and you start messing around with people, you'll notice that jiu-jitsu is a lot easier to do when you have someone fighting back with you rather than them trying to run away. There is value in that lesson, and it's something that we can all put in our back pockets. This last one is being strategic with your pacing. So a lot of white belts are redlining their energy or their motors, their muscles the entire time. Just like I told you about my first white belt tournament, if we all had RPM meters, we were redlining our engines the entire time, which is absolutely insane. If you watch upper ranks, there's bursts of energy when they really need it. But what upper ranks are really good at is capitalizing on resting where it's strategic. So in certain positions, so it's like we check this example, you can see that I'm staying nice and calm in my opponent's guard. I start to work on breaking that guard. Once I feel that guard break, then I flip my switch, which is what I like to call the war switch. When I flip my war switch on, that's when I'm doing energy dumps. That's when I'm doing bursts of energy. I'm being explosive and strong. So I feel that guard break open, I flip my war switch and I sprint to that guard pass. Then once I get to the guard pass, I can still leave my war switch on and jump into full mount. Now, once I'm at where I want to be, I can flip the war switch off, collect myself, and slow down a little bit. Maybe start hunting submissions or looking for opportunities, seeing how my opponent addresses threats. Maybe there's a threat that I'm dangling right in front of him that he's not really addressing. That is an open door to me. And then I can flip my war switch back on, hunt that submission, and get the win. You know, this is the difference between guys who are just training and guys who've been doing it for a while. There's a difference in the strategy of energy expenditure. You've probably heard that jiu-jitsu is chess with body parts. Yes. It is also chess with energy expenditure. If you are good with spending energy, you can outpace and outlast someone who has better cardio and better stamina than you. But again, this is an art in and of itself. It's something that you're never going to get better at if you don't pay attention to it. This is why I like to create these videos for white belts who are early in their journey. You can start thinking about this stuff now. You're not going to be good at this as a white belt, but if you continuously think about it, you'll probably be pretty good at it by the end of your blue belt, moving into your purple belt. You're gonna be really effective with energy, and to your training partners and your opponents, you're gonna feel like you just don't get tired. And that way of thinking has always helped me to know, okay, I'm redlining, I need to flip the switch and find a strategic place to collect myself. And these are just 3 tips, right? I could do a 2-hour video on all the things white belts could do to be more efficient. But obviously, you know, you can't take on too much information at once. Jiu-Jitsu is already super information rich. So even if you take one thing from this video, take it and use it, and you'll notice it changes how you perform. It changes how you learn. It improves how your roles will go. And as a white belt, let me remind you, your job isn't to win. Okay? Your job is to become good at defense. And really, if we're going to take it a step further, your job is to become a problem for anyone that rolls with you. If you can give a blue belt a hard time, and not in a hard time where that you constantly have them on the ropes, but you're just hard to submit, that's fantastic. If you can get to the point where you can make it a whole round where a purple belt maybe only taps you once or twice, or not at all, right? If you're really good at defense, that's awesome. That's really, really good. So get it out of your heads that you should be winning matches right now. Maybe against each other, yes, but against other ranks, your job is to learn. Become troublesome for your training partners. If you have any other tips that maybe I missed that white belts could use today to help improve their game now, drop them in the comments. We are always learning from each other, myself included. It's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. You're never gonna know it all. So I always appreciate you guys and girls who are commenting. Thank you for that. With this, you know how we like to end it. Sometimes backwards, always forwards. I'll see you in the next one.